One Sox prospect is taking home some serious hardware this offseason, and we got a clearer picture as to what the Sox budget may be. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin. A bit of an interesting news day here for the Boston Red Sox. We have Kristian Campbell, who is absolutely cleaning up when it comes to minor league awards, and we got our first look as to what some of the arbitration players on the Boston Red Sox could be making in 2025, and that's absolutely going to have a big impact on this offseason. So what we are going to do in today's video is we're going to break all of this down, talk about what's going on and how it could affect the 2025 Red Sox. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. Okay, so let's start with the arbitration news. Now, for those of you guys who may not be super familiar with what arbitration is, basically every young player in Major League Baseball that has gone through at least 2 seasons, depending on a couple of different factors here, ends up in this process where basically they come to the team and they say, hey, this is how much I think I'm worth. The team comes to them and says, hey, this is how much we think you're worth. If they match up, great, you've got a contract. If not, it goes to a impartial third party that essentially decides how much the player's worth. Now, the Red Sox are actually pretty good at avoiding this process. It could be very tricky. It could end up ruining relationships between teams, and the only real big one that they messed up recently has been, well, that guy named Mookie Betts, who we all know how that turned out, but outside of that, they've been pretty good at avoiding this process. But either way, the first projected numbers for guys making money in arbitration came out yesterday when MLB Trade Rumors put out their projected arbitration salaries for 2025. And honestly, MLB Trade Rumors usually ends up being pretty accurate. Maybe it's not totally spot on every single time, but it's usually within a few $100,000, which could give us a pretty decent picture as to what the Sox offseason could look like, because there are currently 3 players on the Boston Red Sox eligible for arbitration. The first one being Tanner Houck, the Sox best pitcher this season. He is projected to make $4.5 million in 2025, which in all honesty feels like a pretty damn good deal for both sides. Tanner Houck gets a nice salary increase considering he was making league minimum for rookies, $770,000 last year, and the Boston Red Sox get a frontline starting pitcher for possibly less than $5 million. To me, that sounds like an absolutely fantastic deal. I know some people are going to say, well, that's undervaluing him, and you're probably right. On the free agent market, he'd probably make more, but at the same time, too, this is his first year of arbitration. It's also his first really successful year in Major League Baseball, which I think are playing a big factor into that final number. You've got Cutter Crawford, who's also arbitration eligible. He ended up projecting out to about $3.5 million next season. It's nothing super crazy there, to be honest with you. That number feels pretty accurate, especially when you consider how little service time he's had, how this is also his first year in arbitration, and the fact that other players around the league who put up similar statistics in his age group or in his experience group are making slightly around the same number. But the big one I think a lot of people are going to want to have a conversation about is the last player on this list, and that is Jarren Duran, who is projected by MLB Trade Rumors to make $4.9 million. Now, that may feel low for Jarren Duran, and yeah, you're probably right if you're feeling that, because Jarren Duran was one of the most valuable players statistically in Major League Baseball this year. If you look at WAR, he was a top 5 WAR player in the entire AL. He was one of the best outfielders in the league and one of the best leadoff hitters in Major League Baseball. He is definitely worth, on paper, more than $5 million. But again, these numbers can change a little bit, right? We could end up seeing Duran sitting somewhere around $5.6, $5.5 million. But even then, for the Red Sox, this is absolutely fantastic, right? You're getting one of the most valuable players in the sport for less than $10 million. And that's unfortunately just simply how arbitration works. I know a lot of people are going to sit there and say there's no way Jarren Duran makes less than $5 million or less than $10 million in arbitration, but considering the fact that this is his first year of arbitration, it was also his first full season in Major League Baseball, and he has had a couple of seasons here where he has really struggled at the big league level, this number feels about right when it comes to that negotiating process. Now, the hope here is that the Red Sox are able to avoid arbitration actually going there with all 3 of these players. They are able to pay them what they think they are worth, or at least to the point where they are comfortable taking a deal before that happens, because again, that could really mess up relationships with this team. And I know you may be sitting there saying, Corbin, what does it matter, right? These guys are going to be on this team if the Red Sox want them to be and don't trade them, regardless of how much they're going to make. At some point, there is going to be a deal done. But the reason this is actually really important to the Red Sox offseason is because it gives us a bit of a clearer picture as to the actual spending capital the Boston Red Sox could have this offseason. Because even if these totals aren't exactly accurate, even if they're a couple $100,000 off, we now have a bit of a clearer picture as to what their total payroll could look like coming into 2025. Before this arbitration process, the Boston Red Sox, according to SoxProspects.com, were projected to have $153.6 million on the books headed into 2025. With these arbitration players in here, which is about $12.9 million added on, they now have $166.5 million, meaning they have right around $74.5 million until that first luxury tax threshold. Now, we don't really know what the budget of the Boston Red Sox is right now, right? Last year, it was below the first luxury tax threshold. This year, it could be at that same point. It could be a little bit higher, it could be way higher. I have absolutely no idea, but what we do know now is that the Red Sox probably have about $73.5 million until they hit that first luxury tax, and that could absolutely be the Red Sox budget this offseason, which means they are going to have to work from about $75 million in free cash, and Craig Breslow has to work within those metrics. So yes, the math is kind of boring. Yes, hearing about arbitration seems kind of dull, but it absolutely has a massive impact on what the Red Sox could do this offseason. But it's not the only news item we have to talk about today, because the other one is about a player, a prospect specifically, who is cleaning up when it comes to awards. But before we get into that, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it's the best way to let me know you're enjoying the content. Thank you all very much for taking a second and doing so. Let's get into this prospect, shall we? So about 2 weeks ago, we made a video on Kristian Campbell winning an award based on Keith Law's 2024 season, right? He won Breakout Player of the Year, Minor League Player of the Year, basically from Keith Law, and that was absolutely fantastic and well-deserved. But since then, Kristian Campbell's award list has just grown exponentially. I mean, everyone who could possibly give that award basically gave an award to Kristian Campbell over this last week, because taking a look at this list of names here, it is absolutely ridiculous. During the last week or so, he's also added Red Sox Minor League Offensive Player of the Year, an award given out by the Red Sox organization, Baseball America's Minor League Player of the Year, Eastern League MVP, MLB Pipeline named him, Roman Anthony, and Jose Nixon Garcia to their minor league first team, basically the all-star team for the year for the minor leagues. They also named him Breakout Player of the Year and Minor League Hitter at the Year. At this point, it feels like any award that could possibly end up in Kristian Campbell's hands has ended up in Kristian Campbell's hands. The dude has taken home some serious minor league hardware this season, and he absolutely deserves it. I think we could go over the statistics again. We've done it a couple of times throughout videos throughout this year, so I'm not going to dive deep into what statistics made him so great this season. I'm just going to take a second and really appreciate how crazy Kristian Campbell's 2024 campaign really was, because coming into this year, he was the 22nd ranked prospect on SoxProspects.com. He was really projected out to be more of a depth piece, a utility guy for the Boston Red Sox. But over this season, not only has he become the third best prospect in the Red Sox system, according to Sox Prospects, he went from an unranked prospect to one of the best prospects in baseball and has now won every single possible Player of the Year, Breakout Star of the Year, Offensive Hitter of the Year that he possibly could. And that is unbelievably impressive. That doesn't happen very often, right? To see that happen in the Red Sox organization is absolutely fantastic and absolutely exciting. Now, for the Red Sox, I'm not entirely sure this does a whole lot to his overall value within the organization, right? Because I think he's already an extremely valued prospect because of what he did this season on the field. I think at this point, he fits basically the Red Sox biggest needs offensively pretty perfectly. He also fits it defensively. This feels like a guy who absolutely is going to get a shot to make this Red Sox team or make a big impact on the 2025 25 Red Sox, whether that be opening day or a couple of months into the season. I absolutely think he is going to be a part of the Red Sox plans this offseason. Now, I don't think he's going to be traded simply because of the unique fit that he has with this big league roster, but I do think that getting all these awards absolutely does increase his trade value just a little bit. I think if teams are going to trade someone big and the Red Sox do end up putting him on the table, bringing in a guy who has won all these awards can absolutely make him more valuable on the trade market. So there is that as well. Again, I don't think he's going to end up being traded, but overall, just incredibly impressive how good Kristian Campbell has become. It's also really cool that this is really the second year in a row the Red Sox have had two kind of breakout stars out of nowhere. Now, obviously, these guys always had the talent, but Roman Anthony, what he did last year felt really special. What Kristian Campbell did this year felt really special, and that's really unique to have that 2 years in a row. And it feels like you've got some other candidates going into 2025 who could do absolutely the exact same thing. So the Red Sox position player pipeline just continues to get more and more impressive, and this is just another tip of the cap to everyone developing these players in this system. But overall, taking a look at the news itself, I think there are some pretty big implications here as to what it could mean for the 25 Red Sox, as well as what it could mean for the Red Sox offseason. So let me know in the comment section down below, what do you think about all this? What do you think about the arbitration numbers? Do you agree? Do you disagree? What do you think about Kristian Campbell continuing to rack up awards? What do you think that means for the Red Sox and for Campbell himself? Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor. Make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. It just simply helps it out a ton, and it's the best way to let me know you're enjoying the content. Don't forget, if you want to listen instead of watch these episodes, all you got to do is head over to your favorite podcasting app and look up Red Seat Radio. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the red seats.